there, everybody. Welcome back to Mojo Stitches. I am Laura, and I am so pleased that you found my channel. This is where we talk about all things cross stitch. I have been gone a hot minute. It's been a day or two, you guys. Okay, it's been more than a day or two, and I'm so glad to be back. I was gonna film tomorrow, but then, it's a good day. I did my hair and put some makeup on. I am magical like a fairy today. I don't normally go all into the glittery makeup, but I got this one on sale and it's sparkly and fun, and so I'm embracing it. We should all be fairies. It's a nice day here in the Pacific Northwest. It is, partly cloudy, mostly cloudy really, with pops of sun poking through, but the flowers are starting to bloom and we have some leaves popping and it just feels like spring. It's wonderful. I'm so grateful. I'm so sorry for the people that have snow and are still getting snow. My mother is one of them. They have a big storm coming in this weekend and it's like the perpetual never-ending winter for her. I am glad to be here. Okay, I think I have all of my ducks in a row today. Fingers crossed. Some days it's a bit of a hot mess, but I'm hoping today I've got everything. I've got my zippers unzipped. I've got my notes, my pictures. It should be good. It should go smoothly. Here we go. If you hear my dog crunching in the background, I'm sorry. She has a new bone and she's rather happy about it. Quick, tiny, 2-minute update. It's been about a month since we met and life has been crazy. My vacuum died, my couch died, I traveled. My sister and her little family came in and I got to meet baby Saoirse, and she is perfect, of course. And so life has just been full and busy and crazy and good things, mostly good things, which is a nice way for things to be. So let's jump into cross stitch because that's what we're here for, right? This is my book of days. This is my first year using this. It was gifted to me by one of you lovely viewers out there. Oh, did I say if you're new, welcome? If you're new, welcome. If you're old, welcome back. So much for having my ducks in a row. Also, I think I figured out how to put closed captions on my movies. So I think I've got them on all of the previously uploaded ones, and we'll see if it doesn't happen at the initial release of this. It should happen within the first hour it's up. I don't know what made the difference, but I found a magic way to not have to type it all in by hand. So that's a good thing. A little update there. Anyway, so this is my first year using Book of Days. I'm loving it. So here's what I'll show you what I'm doing. Oh, that's my stats. So I just lightly decorated it. A couple cute stickers and stuff, and I wrote my theme up here. It was Magical March this month, and these were kind of my goals in this column. So I had a restart on a project. I wanted to reach a certain point on a different project, those kind of things. I ran out of a floss, so I needed to pick that up. I kind of added those in that column. And then if you've been with me for a while, I like my themes. So each day, except for Wednesday, Thursday, which were theme free. I don't know why, but they were. I just couldn't think of anything. So I wrote my little theme under here and then kind of filled in the projects I wanted to work on within that. And I did not stitch every day this month. Little check marks are I did it. But I have a solid week and a half of little to no stitching. So yeah, it was like 4 days on one over the course of the month, because I don't do blocks of days. It's more like, so Mira Monday is a consistent theme for Mondays. And I really thought I would work on Snow Maiden, which is something I've been working on through January and February, but I was just over winter. So I think I put, what did I write here? About 10 minutes. About 10 minutes into it one day, and then I just didn't work on it. So I had my Woodland Fairy in the other days. And so I've kind of, like, in the library was pretty consistent on Thursdays, that kind of thing, rather than chunks of the same project in a row, if that makes sense. So yeah, there's only one project I only worked on once, and everything else got multiple sessions, if you will. My phone is dinging at me. Let me turn it on silent really quick here. There we go. And it won't interrupt us. We're talking stitching. Okay. I have my April loosely set up, but I'll show you that when we talk about plans. So I just kind of wanted to show you March before it was totally gone. Where should I put this? I don't know. Here. We'll put it here. Okay, so first things first. Let's show you what I did. Progress report. Oh no. Pause. Hold the phone. I have FFOs, you guys. FFOs, like, done. Ready to go on the wall. Woo, 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 woo. Oh, I'm so excited. This is why we write notes. Because I was just going to blow right over them. And they're fun. So I have some springy projects that I have had. These have all been stitched for about a year, at least. And just kind of tucked into my little box and waiting for some love and attention. And I was transitioning my house decor to spring and had no cross stitch to put on the wall. So I was like, okay, well, I am a cross stitcher and I want it to show. So let's go dig through my FOs, my finished objects, and see if I can't fully finish something. So I did. I have 2 soft finishes and 3 framed finishes, and it's just me framing it. It's nothing fancy. So let's start with oh my goodness. Let's start with silencing my, how do you do that? Sorry. Technical difficulties. Silence. Oh no! Or just make more noise. How do you silence it? I don't know how to silence my watch. Hi, Grace. Okay, who cares? It'll ding every once in a while. That's okay. So let's start, I think we'll start oldest and go to my most recent that I finished stitching them. So this one is from Satsuma Street. It's a soft finish, so just a little quilted finish. And it was a pandemic stitch. So many designers out there were super generous, and a lot of people had time on their hands with the quarantine, and so they released free charts to stitch. And so this is Satsuma Street's Let's Stay Home, and it was so much fun to stitch. My sister and I stitched it simultaneously, and she did hers on, I think it was 28 count over 1. Tiny. It's so cute. It's half this size. This is on a 14 count Ada that I had in stash. And there are a couple of color changes due to the nature of the timing of the start. My words, I intentionally darkened a little bit so that it would pop a little bit more off of my purple Ada. And then the house background is a slightly darker shade of the called for color. I just didn't, oh my gosh, I'm popular all of a sudden. It's nice to be loved. Anyways, it's a little bit darker than intended due to a lack of supplies. and inability to get to any at that point, because this was right at the onset. Everything shut down, and you know, hadn't figured out online shopping like I am a proficient online shopper now. Anyways, it's super cute and happy, and I'm thrilled with the finish, and yeah, that one's real fun. So that's my first one. First. Okay, we'll do my second soft finish next. So this one's kind of a funny little deal. It's also Satsuma Street, and it's a soft finish as well, but I made little taggy doobobbers for it. Fancy. And this is Easter Sweet Spring. I think this is Sweet Spring. Satsuma Street for sure. And it's the funniest thing. I was sitting here, it's kind of been hanging from my shelf, and I was talking to my mom yesterday and just kind of looking at it while I was chatting with her. I didn't finish one of the carrots, and it's done. I am not tearing this apart to finish a carrot. Oh well, it's still cute. Oh my gosh, I also didn't finish this. Whatever. It's too late now. I started this one, I think I started this one in 2019, maybe 2018. And then finished it, golly, I mean, it kind of went the way of a lot of my projects where I'll start them, I'll get a good chunk done, and then I'll kind of tuck it away for a year or so, and then pick it up again and finish it out. And so, I mean, it's not a big project, but it probably took me a couple years to get to the end of stitching. But happy project. And it will be so fresh and seasonally appropriate. Okay, let's go. Okay, here's my first framed one, and it still has a sticker on it because, you know. Oh! This one I think is called Easter Parade. It's from Satsuma Street as well. It's the little Satsuma Parade. But they were my springiest finishes. And this one was so funny. I was at the store looking at different frames, just stock frames. And I had a blue frame and a pretty like fresh pink frame and a yellow frame and then a brown frame, like randomly a brown one just. And I was like, okay, that one's okay. And I got to the yellow one. I was like, that's it. It's just so fresh. And the pink, this cute, soft, it's stitched on I think it's a 32 count even weave. It's an even weave. I think it's a 32 count. Anyways, 2/2. But it's just the softest, prettiest pink, and I wanted that to pop. And it was interesting with a pinker frame, it kind of just all blended in. And it was pretty, there's no doubt. It coordinated, but the yellow is where it was at in the end. So there's my cute little Easter Parade. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited about this one. This one is one of my top 2 favorite finishes. Just turned out so cute. Okay. This one, oh my goodness, I'm going to forget no, I know who it is. Okay. This is Strawberry Bird by Blue Flower, The Blue Flower. And this I stitched last spring. And it was one of those projects that I picked it up and I couldn't put it down. And for a month, I was a monogamous stitcher, which is unheard of for me. I'm not classically monogamous. I'm rather the antithesis of that. But this one was just a delight to stitch, and it just moved quickly. It was surprising. It was very satisfying to stitch. So it's all I did. I would stitch it after work before we moved, and I had it finished in a month. You know, there's something to be said for monogamy. I do not remember what linen it's on. It's on oh golly, looks like either a 32 or a 28 count, probably 32. linen, but I don't have, it's in its frame. I'll have to dig to find its color information. It would also be in my, if you follow me on Instagram, I'm Lala Stitches there as well. It'll be in my Instagram as well. I had all of the information below as I was working on it. So if all else fails, check there. I love it. It's beautiful. And this one will be, it's very fresh and springy, but it also, I think it will be perfect to keep up through the summer and everything too. Oh no, avalanche. Okay, there we go. Sorry, I keep popping out. Okay, this is the last but not least. This one is my Aquamarine Owl, and I think this is my favorite finish. Something about the frame, and I mean, it's an owl. It's just delightful. This was, the chart was gifted to me, actually the whole kit, quasi-kit. So my sister gifted me the chart and said, let's go to the cross-stitch store and we'll get all the supplies for it, which was lovely. Not only was it so much fun to get the supplies, it was really fun to go to the shop with her and just have a girls' day. And so we did that, and then it took me, I think it took me 2 years to finish it. Again, not a monogamous stitcher typically, so yeah, I think it was 2 years. And I tell you, once you got the back stitching into this, it was just magic. It all came to life. I love it. It's super blendy. I had to redo his chest 3 times, but that's okay. It was worth it in the end. This is, unfortunately, Aquamarine Owl is not available currently. I had somebody ask about it on one of my Instagram pictures last week, I think it was. And so I did some digging, and she's a Russian designer, and it's just one of those sites that, you know, some of them have found different ways to get their product out there, and I could not find this. So I correct me if I'm wrong, but I do not believe this is currently available, the chart. But my finish is going on my wall. You'll see it on their next video. I love it. Okay, there we go. That's my FFOs. That feels very satisfying. And it's so exciting. They've been sitting down here very patiently waiting for almost a week and for the video. And I am very excited to get them on the wall instead of on the floor. I mean, it's not like they were outcast, but they were definitely not on the wall. So, okay. What I stitched in the last month. We'll start with the bad news first, right? So this is unzipped, but still in the plastic. This is called Not the Magister Yet. Cute little Grogu. Baby Yoda. Which my intention is to stitch it while I'm watching Star Wars. I'm going through the series sequentially, chronologically. That's the right word. Chronologically. And so I'm only bringing it out if I'm watching Star Wars. So it doesn't have a day set aside for it. And I am stitching it on Picture This Plus 28 count cauldron. But we had some bad news blues this week, my friends. So this is where I started, which is going to be, oh fiddle, it's not going to, okay. Well, the picture's not rotated, but I had all of this purple in and a little bit of the beginning of his chest where you get into that sunset. And I picked it up to go stitch. I was watching Star Wars, so I was going to bring it out. But I had messed up big time. I had somehow completely eliminated 3 or 4 rows. So nothing, when I started getting a second color in, nothing matched up, which is always a bummer when you learn that you can't count. So This is reverse progress. I spent one afternoon ripping out what I'd done. And this is where we stand. And it's sadness, but now it can be put in correctly. And it'll be much more exciting next time you see it, because there will be progress instead of frogging. Oh well. Sometimes my brain just decides not to play nice. It is what it is. Okay. So my next one is my birthday stitch. So I only pull this out on the 3rd of the month. It is Virgo by Nora Corbett. And she's lovely. And she also is a bit of a story. So I pulled her out on the 3rd, and my original thought was, let's find out where we started on her. So this is where we started with her. Pretty solid start, but she's a fairy. She has wings, and so I was like, this month I'll put in the wings. But even though I have a full kit of her, I could not, to save my life, find the Krynic. I don't know where it went, or at least I didn't for a solid 3 weeks. So I stitched other things, and then the other day, what was it, Saturday? I was like, this is dumb. I bought this. I'm finding it. And find it I did after like 3 hours of digging through my sewing room. And what happened was somehow I had tucked it into another project. So I don't know if you can see behind me, but I have my projects in bags in their little cubbies. And at some point, I'm sure when I was filming a video, sometimes things fall out of bags, or like I'm not going to zip them up during the camera, so I just kind of set them aside gently. And, as you go to put things away, I'm sure it just popped out, and I was like, it must have come from this bag, and chuck into a random bag. Anyways, I found it. This is where we are, and I did a little bit of her wing. Krynic is goobery stuff. I can't say that I love it, but I've got most of there's 2 colors. You can see there's like the silk color and then this deeper fuchsia color. In all of the butterflies, they have both colors in them. So I have like half of all but I think 2 butterflies done. And started on her wing, which is quite lovely. The Krynic, and I don't think the camera will do it justice, unfortunately. It looks very silvery. And it is, but it's like a periwinkle silver, and there are hints of pink and purple and blue in there. And it's kind of magic for the project, because as I stitched all this gray, I know I love the finish, right? I trust the process, but I didn't love it. I was like, the gray is so gray after all these pretty pinks and purples and lavenders, and but having, I don't know, something about the wings it has all of the colors in it, and it just connects everything. I was like, that's what it was missing. So you can bet I will be getting those wings in next month. So I did pull her out a second day after I found, actually it was just yesterday, after I found that Krynic, I was like, I'm putting some in. It was happening, and it's gonna be lovely. I'm excited to get her back stitching done. I'm waiting till the end, till I do the beading. I'll do the back stitching and then the beading. And she'll really come to life. Like her face, she looks a little bit, I don't know, dramatic, I guess. There's not a lot of features to her face, but she has a very gentle expression with the back stitching, so it'll be good. I'm excited at the progress this is getting, I'm still very much enjoying it. Okay. Next. Okay, so now I'm just going to go sequentially through the week, what I work on in order, basically. And so my next one is a Mira Monday. And this is where I started. Oh, I should tell you what it is. Other than that it's a Mirabilia. Let's see. Where's her picture? There it is. On vinyl front bags, anything with a real photo, really anything outside of plastic with a photo finish, you don't want to put right next to the plastic because it will stick to the plastic. So it's always kind of, I tuck mine into the back of my bags so that I don't damage my pictures. Anyways, this is Woodland Fairy. See if I can focus on that instead of me. She's beautiful. She's beautiful. And I had a bit of a dilemma that we talked about last video at the start of the month, where I have chosen this lovely pink fabric, and I wasn't in love. Oh heavens. I wasn't in love with it. Like, it worked, and the picture's terrible. Don't. Anyway, it worked, but it just wasn't sparkling for me. And so it had kind of been on hold. I hadn't done anything on it in quite a while. I think I started this one in 2021, a couple of years ago at this point, probably as one of those May, like, start all the things, which I blame for my chronic startitis, by the way. Probably one of those. So I'm guessing about 2 years ago. I wasn't tracking it at that point, so I don't know for sure. But let me show you where I got. Ooh, also I have an official, like, poster board now, so I don't lose it in my desk and such. It's very exciting. I feel very official. Okay, this is where we got. I mean, she looks a little funky right now, let's be honest, but I'll explain her body parts so it makes more sense and she's a little less creepy. Short story long. I'm going to stick with this fabric. I've decided it's going to be good. It is Weeks Linen, 36 count, which we'll talk about. It's called Charlotte's Pink, and it is beautiful. It's showing actually very true to color in camera right now. And this weird growth is actually her shoulder, not part of her neck. So I got her face complete, but for back stitching, and I'm working down into her arm. So this is her shoulder. She's kind of looking over her shoulder. She's very elegant. And her chest, and then her lap comes out like this, and her gorgeous dress, which I started with the darkest part of her skirt. Her dress is actually much lighter, so it's gonna be totally fine. It's gonna be beautiful, and I'm excited to get this ribbon in because that's really where a lot of the colors. Here, I'll show with my color card here. Bloop, bloop, bloop. There we go. There we go. Yeah, see, it's all gonna come together. These brighter colors are really most of her skirt, and then you've got this beautiful pink combination for coming into the lighter parts of the ribbon. And something I had debated about, I said I might change the colors of her wings to make them a little more iridescent, but I've decided that I quite like the moth effect, the more butterfly moth look to them. And again, once I like the colors. See, sometimes you just have to trust the designers. They kind of know what they're doing. Anyways, she's going to continue to get progress. Now, I am stitching her on a 36 count. Most Mirabilias recommend a 32 count. And as far as the beads go, I mean, I can always find smaller beads if I have to, but I don't think it'll be a problem with that. My only concern is part of her wings require, I was looking at it yesterday, 2 strands of Cryonic and 2 strands of DMC, so very, very thick. And I don't think that would work on a smaller count. I think it would be full even on a 32 count. So what I'm going to do when I get to that point is just do one of each and reduce that bulk to compensate for my smaller fabric. Make sense? I think it'll be good. And I think I have her slotted to stay in April. I'm going to keep working on her for at least a couple more times, get a little bit more progress. I'd love to get like her hair and the rest of her shoulder done, and yeah, just give her a little bit more form, a little less blobby before I put her away for a hot minute. Okay, now our theme, my theme last month was Magical March. So I tried to have all of my projects I pulled have kind of a magical theme behind them. So this is Totoro. Oh, Siri, shut up.
Here's the plot synopsis.
No, I don't need the plot synopsis. Oh my goodness. She listens to everything. So it's actually, what is the actual name? It's Totoro in Hydrangea. And this is also unavailable, I'm afraid. I've done some research into it. It's by Lady D. She was on Etsy a couple of years ago, and her page is no longer active. So you can find the page, but you can't find, there are no charts available underneath it. It's inactive. So unfortunately, it's not available, and I haven't found another spot for her sale of charts as of this moment, but this is where I am. Oh, and while I show you that, let me see if I can get back to, go back, main pics. Do I have a, okay, well, I don't have a main picture of this one, like the finish. So there's hydrangea flowers down here in these colors. This is one bloom up in his hand. And so basically I filled in some of this green, and then I started into his back and his arm here. Which was, I mean, in the moment, not particularly exciting stitching, but it's fun to start to see some of the stripes show up on his back. And you know, he is a very round creature, and I think that started to show with some of these darker colors coming in. So it's really fun. I do love this project, and I look forward to one day finishing it. Okay. Oh, and this is my cute little needle minder that I got at Acorns and Threads. A lot of these older projects that I started before I moved last year would have been sourced, at least supplies-wise, from Acorns and Threads, which was my LNS. Okay, so this one I have a main picture for, so we'll go to where I started. That is this one. Okay. So this one is Mojo Stitches in the library. It's, I mean, I say it every time. I love it. It's gorgeous. She's an Australian designer, and I've recently learned that she has a Flosstube. So go find Mojo Stitches, you guys, because she does good things. I started this at the end of February, and when we met, this is how far I'd gotten because I couldn't put it down. This was one of those rare 2 days straight. Like, all I wanted to work on was this. It's with the Cottage Garden threads. I'm using the Cottage Garden threads, and they're so lush. They're just gorgeous. They're beautiful to work with. They look like silks, but they're hand-dyed cottons. And I have them all in little baggies so they don't get all goobery. I'll just show you a couple of them. And it's a mother and daughter team that dye them. And Mama Dyer is struggling with heart complications right now. So they actually just announced a fundraiser yesterday. She needs heart surgery. And they are selling sets of their beautiful, beautiful, beautiful threads. And then also they are doing a collaboration with a whole bunch. I think it's 23 different cross stitch designers. And so you can buy as a way of participating in their fundraiser if you go to their website or through their Instagram. Little plug. I get nothing for this. This is just, I think it's a good cause, and I love small businesses, and so and it's my channel, so I can do it. And I love their product. So they're selling a special thread set, and then they're also selling basically access to these designers are creating heart-themed projects that will be released in, I want to say it was in June, after she has her surgery. So if you want to participate in that, have the means to do so. It's for a good cause. But in the meantime, this is where I'm at. I finished the entire first shelf and have started into the borders. So this is only one of the greens that goes into those leaves. And we're a little dark in our picture today, but in person the colors are a little bit richer. But it's still beautiful, and I love, love, love it. This one got 3 or 4 days. I just really enjoy stitching on this. And it is being stitched on Lakeside Linen Vintage Purled Barley. It's a 28 count, so I'm doing it 2/2. I love it. I love it. This one's not going anywhere. I'm gonna keep working on it. This one might stay in the rotation. I was just about to say until it's done. And I'm not saying that's impossible, but it might not fit a couple of my more summery themes. So we'll see. But for now, for at least I would say April and May, it's not going anywhere. And who knows, maybe by May it will be finito. It could happen. It could happen. Okay, this next one was a restart. So I had originally started this as one of those, May Madness, Stitch Mania, that's what it's called. And I was doing on just an 18 count Ada cheapo that I had in my stash at the time. And I had not done very much, honestly. I mean, I just kind of started in a corner and I just didn't care for how it looked, how it was stitching up. And so I hadn't gone any farther, just kind of stalled on it. But I love the project. I love unicorns and they're magical, so they fit the theme. So I went digging in my stash and I found just a rando, it's got a needle and thread in it still. It's a rando, I'm not even sure the count. It's a rather rustic looking even weave. And I did a lot on it. It's almost, so if it was completed here, it's one full page, and I did not center it. So it's not going to be super big. I was thinking it would be a lot bigger than it is, and I just kind of went in 2 inches thinking, oh, that'll be safe, that'll be fine, I like a corner start. But I could have gone in a little bit farther because that's the center of the fabric and that's the center of the design. So, oh well. But I love this fabric. I love how everything's stitching up. I like how my stitches look on it, which is, you know, some fabrics, I don't know, you know, the fabric, the needle, how many strands you have, so many things can factor into how your stitches lay, how fast you do, what method you use. I stitch in hand and I use a sewing method most of the time. I don't know, it's not like official. Sometimes I poke and pull. But for the most part, I like the sewing method. It's faster, it keeps my hand on top of my work, and I like that. And this fabric is playing nicely with that method, so it works. Some fabrics, I just find my stitches look nicer if I kind of control that final lay more. Did that make sense? Oh, sometimes I just make up terms because I'm talking to an empty room and that's how my brain works. I don't know. I'm cool like that. Okay, let's see here. Next. I know I had a start on this one. I did not start any new projects last month. That's kind of a big deal. Okay, I didn't save a picture of this one. So, and my battery's dying. Ruh-roh. I'll try to hustle my buttons so we don't lose our before pictures. So, I started this also at the end of February. The Fox and Rabbit, the visitor, she's gorgeous. I mean, don't focus on me, focus on this. So beautiful. I mean, we all love our birds and beehives, right? And I don't know. It's just, it feels like the center of a sampler, like the big aha moment, and then you'd have like all the words in the border and whatever around it, but without all the foo-fa-fa, technical term. Which I love. It's so funny. I watch a lot of Flosstubers who stitch spectacular samplers. You know, the historic samplers, reproduction samplers, I think is the appropriate term for that. And they just do beautiful work and beautiful finishes. And in fact, one that I just have been binge watching, she has 2 videos out, Stitching Bunny, Judy. She does the most beautiful work. It's really, really beautiful. So if you like samplers, head over there quick, because that woman, she just did a finish parade, and she's like, I didn't pull out everything I have in my bucket. I just pulled out what I've finished in the last, 5 or 6 years, and it was all these big, beautiful projects, and I'm like, man, I've got to get my stuff together. Okay, so note about me, I'm not finish motivated. I enjoy the process. I love a new start. I mean, I enjoy finishes, don't get me wrong. I love having stuff on my wall, and every once in a while I'll get this wild hair and be like, I'm going to get this done so I can put it up. But for the most part, I'm just happy with, buckets of projects and just working on them. I just enjoy the process and all of it. But Judy's inspiring. They're gorgeous. Anyways, so I watch a lot of people who do samplers, but I don't stitch a lot of samplers myself. Isn't that funny how we can be drawn to things, but watching somebody else do them is enough sometimes. Anyways, this was like the sampler without the sampler part, and I love it. I really love it. So I did the dark part of his wings, most of it, when I started it. That's where I was before. I don't know what kind of bird that is. probably a him. Usually female birds are a little less flamboyant. And that's where we are. Oh my goodness. I love it. I am so tickled with this one. This is stitched on Picture This Plus, 32 count linen. The color is Glory. It makes me happy. I'm actually missing, so I didn't finish this leaf because I'm missing one of the colors. I need to go shopping. Darn. And I'm missing one of the colors in his tail as well. So I'll have to jump. Oh, and his head. His head is blue, and I have the darker blue, but not one of the lighter blues. So I might have to jump into the bee scap or something next as I continue to work on this through April. Beautiful though. I love, this is another one that it just feels good to work on it. Good girl, baby. Okay. Let me see if my iPad will play nicely for a few more minutes. So, oh, but I need to pull out the main picture. I thought I had a main picture. Yes, here we go. So this next project is an old whip for Sal Saturdays. Lakeside Needlecraft Fantasy Sal. And it's charted by Doreen Jones. That's what I thought. And it's charming. I mean, they're all just delightful. The border's quite intense. And I started this... So let's see, the chart came out, I think, in 2016. So I probably got it in 2018. That would be my guess. A couple years behind the curve. I did not do it as the Sal. And when last we met, I had this done. So 3 complete motifs and just... you know, chunks of some of the other circles. And my goal, I did have a goal on this one, was to finish all of the purple circles that the motifs will go into. I figured that would be a really good foundation for being able to more casually pull this out as the mood hits me in the future. And I did it. I had to go out and buy some more purple because there's a lot of purple there. But yeah. And as I stitched it, I was like, oh boy, I'm pretty close to the edge. I better get some of that blue in there. This is the outer edge of the design. So it is pretty close. But I'm gonna soft finish this one. It'll be like my Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery Sals in the end. Just a soft finish for in my sewing room, and yeah, it'll work out perfect. There's enough there that I can border it and quilt it and everything. So I'm super excited. I guess I did do a little bit into the Phoenix, but I didn't go too far into colors. I was mostly focused on the border. I did have, so this had already been stitched. I think it was half stitches. It wasn't a complete X yet in this corner. And not even thinking about it, I just stitched right over it and then continued in, and had a bit of a moment of drama when I came back to add in, I guess it must have, I'm looking at it backwards through the camera. It was this corner because I added the blue in. But I started to add the blue and I was like, this isn't gonna work. Something's wrong. And something was certainly wrong. I think I had twisted my chart when I stitched this little loop-de-loo, and it was angled down, more down and out, and there was no fudging it. So I had to very carefully, and it was a mess because I had already stitched and ended off and then stitched over again with a separate piece of floss and ended it off. I mean, it was a mess. I literally had to rip out and then find ways to secure the loose ends, like pull out enough that I could tuck them in. Oh. It was not a happy day in my living room, but it is correct now and all is well. So goal met, and that was very satisfying. And it will be fun to do more of the little magical creatures in that one. Speaking of magical creatures, my next one, I'm pretty sure, is called Magical Creatures. It's another Sal that I started a number of years ago. In fact, this one's even older than the Fantasy Sal. Where's my main picture of it? Oh, fiddlesticks. I have a picture of it somewhere. You know, remember that one time when I talked about having all my ducks in a row? Just kidding. Okay, let me check on my phone because I know I have a picture in here. I'd love you to see what it will be. Because that's just more fun. It's more fun to see the bigger picture before you see my little choppy bits. Need some hold music. Do dee do 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 dee do. Where is my picture? Okay, well. Oh, did I find it? Nope, that's fantasy. Okay, well. Oh, here it is. Okay. Winner. It's micro-sized. Oh, please focus. Well, you can kind of get the idea there. I will have a better picture next time, I promise. But it's so cute. It's got this amazing border and, you know, different little magical creatures. The Yeti and the, oopsie. You know, the Phoenix and centaurs and wizards and elves and gnomes and all sorts of stuff. It's darling. And so when we started, so I know roughly when I started this because I was stitching the border on the way to my sister's college graduation, which puts it 2015, I think. It's old. It's old. I have put this one on the shelf for quite some time. So it was time to pull it out, and Magical March was a good excuse to do so. I love the border. I'm not a big border person. Like, I mean, I love borders, but I don't necessarily enjoy it. Like, I'm not... Okay, I'm going to be quiet because as I'm saying this, I know I have a number of projects that I'm stitching predominantly because the border is gorgeous. Whatever. Never speak in absolutes. Okay. So I had the border done. I had part of the centaur done, but he had no skin. I've done nothing at the bottom. He's very wrinkly at this point. But I finished the centaur block. So I filled in the little flowers, this tree. I gave him flesh. I'm missing a hoof apparently, so he's not quite done. I take it back. And I finished the frog. So the frog was done, but the cauldron was not done yet. So I think I only gave this one afternoon. And then I was determined to get that other border done, and so I focused more on the other one on Saturdays. On the couple Saturdays I had. It's been a really busy month. I feel like this whole year, that's like my motto, what I say in my videos. It's been super busy. Because it has. Oh, and I did no stitching on Sundays. This is normally my Sunday stitch into Dreamland, and I did 0 stitching on Sundays. It was between traveling and having company and just being tired, or my health has been a goober this month. Anyways, I did not get around to stitching on Sundays, but I love her still. She'll be back. Okay, that is what I did. We made it. We made it. The iPad survived. Okay, so let's do haul. Because my sister was in town, so we went shopping. And I already had some A couple of my, well, actually all of my pre-orders for Market have come in, and you've probably seen them all, but I'm excited, so I want to share them with you. So we'll start there with my haul. The first one, I blame and thank Hugo Stitcher for pointing this out. Samantha, she she's doing the spring Quaker as a Sal, a stitch along, and she started it when she had her first snow, and kind of with the hope of spring coming and working through it. And oh my goodness, it's gorgeous. It's really, really quite beautiful. And but I was always like, oh, it's so pretty. End of thought, right? But then she was like, the same designer, so this is Lila's studio, is doing a summer Quaker, and this one made my little heart pitter pat. Look at the details. You've got the crabs in the sampler little blocks, the lobster, the seagull, the lighthouse, the underwater scene with the little scene with the octopus. I mean, the details of this are the magic of this to me. Like, it's beautiful from a distance, but it's magic up close. Oh, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. I have to start this one this summer. So right now it just goes on the shelf. I don't think I'm starting any of my Market until later in the year. So, because I already have plans in place, and I didn't know when my charts would be showing up. So, there's a kind of a hold pattern on some of them. Okay. This one is a combo. So the blue flower, who I love, the glad sun. It says, the glad sun goes across the sky. It's just a charming chart. I love the swirly sunbeams and the fancy tails on the birds and the details in her dress and the fresh, lovely, lovely colors. And so I knew this was coming. I had already ordered it. And so when I was, sorry, a little plastic here. When I was with my sister at Threadneedle Street, which is my local needle workshop, I saw this absolutely lovely, it's called Sprite. Sorry, I buried my board. There you go. It's Picture This Plus Sprite. And then I pulled, there are only a few, it's mostly charted in DMC, but there are a few specialty threads. Oh, there's the sunshine. And so knowing that this would be coming at some point, I got my fabric and the specialty threads. And I love it. I'm so excited to start this one. It's falling all over the world because it wouldn't be one of my videos unless, my hands were a hot mess. It's all good. It's all good. Anyways, I'm really looking forward to starting this one. I'll probably start this. I considered starting it on Earth Day, which would be towards the end of April, but I think I may wait for May. Because I hadn't planned on this being part of the rotation for March. It just happened to come faster than I thought it would. So, all right, we'll just tuck these down. But it's beautiful and I love it. And I think it's going to be so pretty on the lavender and just give it a really fresh spring feel. Yay. Okay, the next few are just charts again. This one, which I did not pre-order, but they had it at Threadneedle Street. And isn't she cute? She must be watering her sunflower because though bees do need water too. At the shop I used to work at, we had a fountain in the backyard. It was at an old historic house. it was wonderful. I could eat my lunches out in the yard, and in summer days we'd open up all the doors. It had a lot of doors because it was originally a wedding venue, and well, its middle life was a wedding venue. It was originally a farmhouse, but I'm getting distracted. Anyways, but the bees loved our water fountain. It was, I mean, the garden was right next to it, and so they'd get their meal, and then they'd come and they'd kind of get their drinks of water and rest on the fountain, and just all these happy little bumblebees. And it was, I don't love the idea of being stung by bees, but I love bumblebees. Yellow jackets are another story. I don't love those, but we need our bees. Save the bees, right? Anyways, it's just cute. Heart and hand, a honey of a frill. So cute. And I'm actually partway into hive rules, so I thought this would be really cute, like sitting by it somewhere, maybe in a hoop frame or something, hanging next to it. That could be cute. Anyways, it'll be super quick stitch. I'm sure I can find something in my stash to work that up on when summer comes. My armchair ornithologist came, and it's delightful. But I couldn't decide what color I wanted to stitch this one on. Like, I knew this one was coming too, but I'm not sure. It looks like it's stitched on a natural linen. Flax linen is the called for. And that's really cute. So I might go that way. But you never know. I like to play with my colors. So I might pick something else. And then my last one, Sasquatch Adventure Sampler by Satsuma Stitches Designs. And this one is so cute. So it says on the back, it represents my adventure days with my husband here in the Pacific Northwest. I designed this sampler for my Bigfoot wall. I need a Bigfoot wall. Yeah, that one's happening. I haven't picked a background fabric, but you'll be seeing this at some point 2023 because I love it, and I officially need a Bigfoot wall. I mean, I've got one Bigfoot. Okay, 2 more little hauls. This one is a Design Works kit, Woodland Castle, which I've seen before. It's not a new kit by any means, but oh my goodness, I don't have her name written down. I'll put it below. I was watching Fiddlesticks. I even commented on it. Anyways, she's almost done with it. She's made a lot of progress. And seeing this one stitched up, the colors were so fresh and lovely, and it was a dark gray Pacific Northwest day, and I found it on sale and I bought it. So I almost started this one this last month, but I was like, no, be a good girl. You need 1 month of 2023 where you don't start something new. But I can't make any promises for the rest of the year. So cute. And then the last one, let me grab my binder real quick. So this is another thing I did. I have a lot of digital charts and things I've bought online that have just been in folders, and then like PG folders, and then tucked into my shelf or in my little filey cubbies. But my mom puts hers in binders like I do with my quilting projects. It's like, I do this. Why with my quilting stuff? Why haven't I done it with my cross stitch projects? I don't know. But bought a binder, bought some peaches or some things, and I organized my life. And it feels really good. Anyways, so front and center is Never Forget, which is it's so gorgeous. So gorgeous, by Yasmin Made with Love. You can find her on Etsy. She also has an Instagram and a Flosstube. She's all over the place. She's wonderful. And I fell in love with this when I saw it. And I have ordered a piece of fabric from Bestitch Me that I think will be its background fabric. But I mean, ordering online, you never know till you get it in. I know it'll be gorgeous, but it's probably another 8 weeks out before I have that in hand, which is fine. No big deal. But as I started to look at the chart and the DMCs were lovely, but really I was drawn to her model stitch, which was done with, what are they called? It's new to me. Tom and Lily. They're French flosses. And so I was like, this is an important piece to me. I'm stitching it in memory of my grandmother. I want to do it right. So, and there are a couple of extra colors in here because I couldn't resist. I mean, if you're going to order floss from France, you may as well get a couple extras. But, so Tom and Lily Creations, and it was too pretty in its package to take it out before I shared. Oh, aren't they gorgeous? So I think all but 2 or 3 of these are in there, and some of these brighter blues are the birds. I mean, it's just, it was worth it. And they're not expensive. Like I was thinking, oh, like they're from France. The website was in both French and English. You could basically pick your language on it. And I expected, I don't know why, I expected closer to silk prices with it because they're specialty hand-dyed cottons, but no, they're totally comparable to like a Gentle Arts or Weeks Dye Works or something like that as far as price point goes. So it was lovely, and they had their whole rainbow, of course, on the website as you're looking for specific ones, and it was terribly tempting. But I'm looking forward to getting the linen that I think will work with it and getting these laid out over, doing a floss toss with it, because that will really determine whether or not I use it. And then at that point we'll get started on it. As soon as I have everything, I'm gonna start it. But okay, that's the end of my haul. Thank heavens. It was it was an exciting month. So let's get into, we'll just finish up with my plans. Have I done everything? Yeah. We're doing good. We're doing good. Ew. I'm going bald over here. Okay, so back to my book of days. April, I was trying to think of a theme, and I didn't want to go with, you know, the obvious April showers brings May flowers kind of thing, because yeah, there will probably be rainy days in April, but I don't want to think about that. I just want to think about the sunshiny days. So I went through, I literally pulled out all of my projects that were not holiday or specifically seasonal, and kind of went through them. I was like, what feels good right now? What am I interested in? What am I drawn to? Because in March it was like, just give me color. Just give me color. So we went magical because most magical projects are colorful, and that felt good. This month I've decided on the theme of wings and gardens, because flowers are starting to bloom here, and I'm so into birds right now. But then I also found a couple of projects that were, you know, like a fairy with wings or butterflies with wings. And so those are my kind of connections to everything. So this is my April, and it's so fresh and pretty. And I am really excited. So I haven't filled in the projects, like the day assignments yet, but I have assigned a theme to the days of the week. So Saturday or Sunday is my full coverage day. That's not changing. Mondays are my Mirror Mondays. I'm going to do Tiny Tuesdays, and I have some really fun spring tiny projects. Wednesdays are for wings. Thursdays are for gardens, Fridays are butterflies, and Saturdays will be Sal's still, because I've got to keep those Sal's getting worked on. I have a whole handful of Sal's that I drop off of. I'm really good at starting them, not so good at keeping up with them. So with those themes in mind, here are my projects. So I'm going to, on Mira Monday, I'm going to keep Woodland Fairy. And I don't know if she'll get a ton of attention, but she'll get at least one day, because I just realized this was the last piece of my haul when I was with my sister. So I kitted up the Glad Sun, but I wanted to have something else too. So I found this. She's beautiful. And I'd seen her before, and I don't know, there's just something peaceful and free about this. It's called Floral Dream, Nora Corbett, and I like the pamphlet size projects they're feeling very achievable right now. I think Virgo has me all inspired, and I talked my sister into doing her astrological sign from the Nora Corbett series. So she was kitting up that at the same time. I was like, well, I want to do one because that's how it goes. Anyways, so I found a piece of linen, which I have not edged yet. But it's beautiful. Oh my goodness, it's all goobery. Please forgive the gooberies. But I fully kitted her. I did. I have the beads, and I'll show them she has 4 silks, water lilies with, let's see if I can do this. See how coordinated I can be. Oh my goodness. So these are that arbor that goes over her, and this is the lighter blossoms in the arbor, and then I think this lighter one goes into the blanket, so it will actually be with these gorgeous rich colors. And oh yeah, it's gonna be so fun to work on. These colors are just vibrant. They're vibrant, which will be inspiring, I think, especially if I wind up stitching it on one of those April showery days. Anyways, so that will be her. She'll be on Mondays, and Tuesdays will be fun because I have a number of tiny projects. So I have, let's see if I can do this. This is my working copy. You've probably seen this because everybody's stitching their spring stuff right now, but Bunny and Bee by Teresa Kogut. I'm super excited, and I have, okay, my chart is there. It's not a big one, and I did swap out, it's all charted in DMC, and so I was gifted this gorgeous off-white cotton. I think it's a cotton. I'm fairly confident it's a cotton. It's not labeled. By one of my friends at Christmas time, and then I am going to do the grass in this. I think it's is it a Gentle Art? No, Classic Colorworks Weeping Willow. Just for a little something. Just because sometimes I can't do it the way they say to do it. Hello Spring by Cottage Garden Samplings, and I just pulled from Stash. It's the called for DMCs and this pretty little Scrappy Doo that I know I have the name of it somewhere, but I have not made a project card for it yet. So that will be fun. And then my prairie birds, which are getting a little wrinkly in this bag. I'll have to make a working copy. Plus I need to, anyways, because I highlight my projects as I work, which I'm going to stitch those on. I did pull colors. Oh, wow. It's such a different palette from so many of my projects right now. They're a little bit more muted, but oh, they are lovely colors. And this is on Picture This Plus Fresco, which is, I don't know if you can see the subtlety of the color. There's very soft greens and there's like peaches with a little bit of blush, and it's quite lovely. It's quite lovely. Anyways, I'm really excited to start that. I almost pulled this out the other day. I was like, no, save it for April. Be good. Because I don't very often set rules for myself, but when I do, I tend to be pretty good at following them. So I have all my tinies in one bag, and I'll just pull this out on Tuesdays for Tiny Tuesday. And then, so those will all be, all my tiny things are new starts, but they're tiny. I would expect I'll have at least 2 of them done by the end of the month. So starts and finishes. And then I decided that for wings on Wednesday, I would start my Kingfisher, which he is so handsome. I love this. And I'm sure I mentioned this before when I picked this up from the store, but this is an Alaskan designer. And I think she's Canadian. Excuse me. Pardon me. No. You see her artwork a lot in Alaska. I think that's why I associate it with it. She's a Canadian designer, Sue Coleman. And her artwork is beautiful, and she always incorporates these native designs into them, which I think are just absolutely beautiful. And there are a number of her charts that I'm rather drawn to. But this is the palette for it. Lovely, lovely. And I've chosen Picture This Plus Pewter for my linen. And I'm very excited. I'm starting this one. Oh, am I not starting this one next week? I think I'm saving it for the 12th. It looks like I've saved. So I haven't assigned them official days yet, so it could be flexible. Maybe I'll do all my new starts in the first week. But I was considering spreading them out through the month, so there's something to look forward to. But the highlighted days are going to be my marker for a new start. So, and I did that in March as well. This one, and I wrote in, since it wasn't technically a new start, but it was a restart. I highlighted that day, and then this is the day that I did my FFOs. So, you know, any special days get a special highlight. Okay, so then we'll just real quickly pop through the last few. She says, like, I can't elaborate and talk on things for days. I'm just a chitter chatterer, it seems, when I get in front of the camera. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, wait, I had that open for a reason. So we did Tiny Tuesday, Wings Wednesday. Was this part of Wings Wednesday? Visitor. Oh, Visitor is also going to... So in March, I assigned, in my head, I assigned 2 projects per column of days, I guess. So like for Saturdays, I had 2 Sals that I alternated between on, or had the option to choose between, because I don't know, I guess I just need that flexibility to be like, I'm really not in the mood for this, even though it's kind of slotted for this day. So, but I've already picked my projects that I want to focus on for the month. So within that, it just gives me a little bit more flexibility to be like, don't wanna, not gonna. Let's do this instead. And so that worked really well to have an alternate piece. And that's why like magical calendar only got 1 day, whereas the Lakeside Needlecraft got 3 Saturdays. 2 Saturdays. 2 or 3 Saturdays. It got more attention because I was just more in the mood for that. And that worked out really well for me. So I'm going to kind of follow that trend in April and see if that continues to suit my fancy. So I've kind of pulled, I have a bucket that I work from of projects that I've pulled for the month. And so I've pulled about 2 projects per day of the week, basically. So Visitor and Kingfisher will get Wednesdays. And so whatever I'm in the mood for, I can pull one of those 2 for that day. That way they get some focus. Okay, yeah. So Thursdays, I'm going to pull back out Ink Circles After the Roses because it's beautiful. And I kept trying to find a way to be like, no, I don't need to work on that. Like, blah, 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 blah. But I couldn't quite put it back into like Gen Pop back there. I like it. And I'm drawn to it right now. So it's on Garden Thursdays. Garden, right? So I'll pull that one out. And then I'm also pulling out these birds. So this is a series. I'm sure you've all seen it because Blackbird Designs is amazing. And I'm not alone in loving it. But this is the Loose Feathers series for the birds. So there are 9 of them. And I started this 1,000 years ago. Okay, no, I started it 2 years ago. Thinking, I'll do one of these a month and I'll have it done by my birthday. That did not happen. Because it turns out, and I'm not a fast stitcher. I have days where things move really smoothly, and then I have other days where it's like, I've been working on this for 2 hours and I feel like I've done nothing. Like 10 stitches, right? That's what I've done. And anyways, so I started with this one and I'm going to stitch them all on one piece. And I have a layout for them that I've mixed up the order of the series just because I'm extra like that, I guess. I have to do it my way. Anyway, this is the next one in the series. So in a perfect world, I would get this done this month. But as I'm alternating it with After the Roses, it will really just depend on if I'm feeling it or not. Anyways, so here's where I am. I'll just show you because you can see I've already started it a little bit, so I have no excuses. There's no counting involved at this point. I have the first one pretty much done. There might be a couple little details. I should go back. I think like the centers of the flowers. I'm sure he has an eye charted. That would just make sense. I did shift the color of the flowers. I saw somebody else do it. It's not my idea. You can see they're blue and ecru or something like that. But I saw somebody, and they didn't do purple. I think they put more pinks into it to make it a little bit more fresh. And I loved that idea of incorporating other colors into it. So I did purples and lavenders, and I think there's a pink bloom that goes over it. There's a couple details to throw in. Not completely done. And I don't want it to wind up like the carrots, so I'll probably start there and then move into more of, let's see, this is actually number 2. Light Upon the Lawn. It's beautiful though. And I think there's a little monogram in there. It's a B, but our last name starts with C. So I think I will adjust that to be a C. So just personalize it a little bit. So that one will come out on Thursdays. And then Fridays are Butterfly Fridays, because I wanted to work on in the library still. I was like, how can the library be part of Wings and Gardens? And it has moths in the border. So that was my connection there. So in the library will be there. And then I have a start on Butterfly Garden by the Blue Flower. And I would show you my start, but it is totally pathetic and it's just a corner of the border. So goals, finish the border, this little white border, and then do something else. I have a beautiful linen in there and the call for DMCs. So yeah, no excuses. It's beautiful and I love this piece and it's not big. I mean, there's some really densely stitched parts of it. Like these butterflies are no joke with those blooms. I mean, they're dense, but it's beautiful and I would love to work on it some more. And I think once I get into those different motifs in there, it will capture my interest a lot more. So that's my butterfly project. And then Saturdays, Sal Saturdays. So I've been working on Barbara Anna's Four Seasons Sal. And in the winter, I did her. And I already have a start on spring. It's actually where I started the project 2 years ago. And so I want to finish before the first day of summer. I want to finish spring because my goal, it's like one of my few goals for this year is to finish this whole project. So I have her in my little bag. She'll come out on at least a Saturday or two if I don't get completely sucked into this next one. Why is this here? Do I have 3? Oh no, that's a Sunday. Okay. I got a little lost in my own brain here. If I don't get completely sucked into this one, because I saw, what's it called? I was watching Welcome Stitchery because I'm in love with them. But they were going through one of their whip parades and they had pulled this out. I'm so bad at remembering people's names. I'm so good with faces and I'm terrible with names. So please, I'm sorry. I love Welcome Stitchery and I've watched at least everything they've done in 2023. I'm new to their channel. But anyways, one of those lovely, delightful, happy women was stitching. She has this as one of her whips and oh my goodness, it's so beautiful. I knew it was beautiful. I loved it when I bought it and started it. But when I pulled it out last month, I was like, oh, I'll just work on this. Like, it's not super bright colors, but it's beautiful. And I was all inspired. And then I was out of Indian Summer, which is the color of this red. So I couldn't really go any farther on my border, which would be the logical thing to finish before going into the middle. It's broken up into a 3-part series. So there are 3 patterns. This may be the one I was told once upon a time that it's harder to get your hands on this. Anyways, but With Thy Needle and Thread, Birds of a Feather, Sal. It's a 3-part series by Brenda Gervais. And I love it. And I am just doing it. It's a neutral even weave I had in stash at the time when I bought this one. So with called for colors. I haven't changed anything on this. But I'm really excited to get into more than the border. And it fits my Wings and Gardens theme because if you look, it's got birds. And look at those cute little sheepies. Oh my goodness. It really is charming. I'm excited to work on this one. Anyways, I had to find a way to get into the rotation. So that will also be on Saturdays. And there's a strong chance Barbara Anna will be lucky if she gets today because I'm really drawn to that one right now. Okay, Sundays I'm going to work on Into Dreamland, and then I found this little kit as I was going through. As I mentioned, I pulled out everything that wasn't seasonal, and I had this sweet, sweet little Gold Collection Petite. It's called Feline Love, and I actually have a pretty good start on it. Like, there's a lot of stitches in there. I mean, they're all half stitches, but I think this one is predominantly half stitches from looking at the picture. It's really just like the kitties, and then, you know, some of the bolder details, but it's got a garden, it's got wings, it fits, and it's full coverage. So this one, if I'm not in the mood to pull out a big project like Into Dreamland, I can pull out this tinier one. Especially since, you know, I keep saying, I'm not going to travel anymore, la 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 la, but life is going different directions than I think it will. And so I will be traveling again for about a week in April. So, you know, that would be a nice small one to bring with me should I be traveling over a day that would come up. Anyways, lots of big plans. I'm super excited for them. Oh, I forgot to show you my little meter minders by Frank and Jack on Etsy. They send this beautiful little card with it. And they came super fast, and they're super duper cute. And I've been saving them to share with you, and I want to take them off the card so I can't forget. Because I want to use them. I thought they were just adorable though, and I love the details. It's not focusing super well. Don't focus on me. There we go. That's better. I love the details in the butterfly there. Anyways, I'm going to use those. Do I have anything else for you? I don't think so. I think that's it. I think we reached the end of everything I wanted to share. Yeah, and my plans. Okay. Thanks so much for sticking with me. I'm sorry it was so long between videos. I am hopeful that I will be able to resume the bi-weekly floss tubes. And you may have noticed, if you were anticipating a quilting video, that did not happen. I actually filmed it, and then my sister and her husband and baby were using this room. I transform it into a guest room when I have company, and so I pre-recorded the video, and then I didn't think about the fact that, well, I didn't upload it. That's the thing. I didn't upload and schedule it like a Goomba, and so it just lives in my computer right now. So I will release this one tonight if I can get it uploaded, and then next week I'll release the much delayed Quilting Bee #2, and then, I mean, if you're just lucky ducks, you might wind up with a video every week for a little minute, and then things will settle hopefully into their pre-scheduled routine. Anyways, so yes, that is my hope, that things, despite life continuing to be busy, that I will be able to be a little bit more organized and consistent with that, because I really enjoy making these videos and I think about them a lot. So I want to I want that to show in my production consistency, I suppose, goals. Anyways, I'm just spitballing right here. You guys are having a little glimpse at my brain and its circles it runs. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for coming back. I hope March has been good to you and that April has good things in store. I am super excited for what I've got planned in my stitchy world, and I hope you have happy things there too. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for coming if you're new. I'm pretty sure I said that at the beginning, but I want to say it again. You guys are always so supportive of my videos, and I appreciate that. I read all of your comments. I love them. I was not able to respond to a lot of the more recent ones, but I try to at least heart them because I do read them and I love to interact as much as I can. All right. Good outro, Laura. Yeah, well done. Way to get lost in your head. Thank you so much. I hope you have wonderful days, and I'll be back. I promise. Happy stitching, my friends.